Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Mastering Midlife, How to Thrive When the World Asks the Most of You. I am your host, Mark Silverman. Today, I'm going to talk about self-forgiveness. No, it's not a new concept. It's something I've been working with for the last 35 years. I've been doing this for a really long time. I'm going to be sober 30 years next week. September 1st, 1989 is when I rolled into town and had my last drink, and life changed forever. But I've been doing self-help stuff for a longer period of time. But I just read Jody Vere's book, Just Hit Send. And she's going to be a guest on the podcast, and she's going to come talk about her experience with self-forgiveness. But since reading that, and also reading The Way of Mastery by Shanti Christo, which is, again, another deep exploration of the nature of reality, our relationship with God, with Christ, with the oneness of everything, there's a bunch of exercises with self-forgiveness. And for someone who has been in AA, where there's a fourth step where you do a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself, and then a fifth step where you go tell God, yourself, and another human being the exact nature of your wrong, and then you spend the next year or two making those things right. Confession with the Day of Atonement for Jews. There's so many coming clean, getting our secrets out, and starting afresh. Is part of every culture, every religion, every discipline. But for some reason, it struck me anew lately of how freeing, how profoundly life-changing, specifically focusing on exercises in self-forgiveness can be. And I have been doing it now. I think I'm on like day 20, somewhere around there, of specifically spending time every morning cultivating self-forgiveness. And what I mean by that is allowing, in my writing, in my journaling, in my meditation, allowing things to come up that may have festered over time that I have not let go of, that I have not forgiven myself for, or forgiven the world for. And they have been weighing me down and have infused a lot of my judgments of the world, a lot of the heaviness that I have felt. So, by the way, if you send me an email at mark@markjsilverman.com, mark@markjsilverman.com. I have actually a module in a course that'll be in my vault that I'll share with you for free on a form of self-forgiveness exercise that I've gleaned from my experiences with The Way of Mastery, with AA, with my readings, that really has been quite helpful. I've sent it to a few clients and a few spiritual advisors, and they're getting a ton out of it too. So I will send that to you for free if you just send me an email. But back to you. So when people ask you about things, when I talk to people about things, and they say, "Yeah, no, I know God has forgiven me for this." A lot of Christians will say that. I know God has forgiven me for this. Or when you go and someone else, when you've done wrongdoing and you've really made amends to them and they've forgiven you for it. And then I ask the question, have you forgiven yourself? I know when the question's turned on me, it's so uncomfortable because I have carried so much that I just can't forgive myself for. So the question is, are there things within you that you haven't forgiven yourself? The world's forgiven you. God's forgiven you, but you haven't forgiven yourself. You, for whatever reason, you hold on to it and haven't let it go. Now, remember, the ego needs fear. The ego needs judgment. The ego needs all kinds of things, thoughts, beliefs, in order for it to exist as the opaque structure that it thinks it is. So the ego uses these things that we haven't forgiven ourselves for to keep itself going, to keep ourselves in lack, to keep ourselves in smallness, to keep ourselves from experiencing the joy that is connection with God, that is connection with other people, that is connection with the oneness of all things. Joy is inherent in our being, but it's all these beliefs and all these thoughts, and especially this lack of self-forgiveness, this lack of letting go, that weighs us down. So when you take out your journal, when you're talking to friends, bring this subject up. It's brilliant to start to let these things free you up. Again, Jody Vere is going to be on in a few weeks, and she'll talk more about it. She's much more of an expert and has many more insights than I do. Send me an email. I'll send you this work that I'm doing myself that I'm finding profoundly freeing. Thank you for listening again. As always, I love you and have a great rest of the day.